Hello, Philosophy 400. My name is Max Williams. This is my friend Alex.
Nice to meet you.
And he's vegetarian, but we're not going to hold that against him. So, how about I go ahead and ask you a few questions about your life decision, Alex?
Sounds good.
So, first and foremost, what is a vegetarian? Can you define it for us?
So, a vegetarian to me is just somebody who doesn't eat meat.
Simple as
Very
that.
straightforward.
Now, do you think that you can moralize vegetarianism? That is, it can be inherently good or bad?
Yeah. I think it's definitely a moral decision inherently.
So
or at least it has moral consequences.
So you'd say that your decision was based on morality as well?
Yeah, primarily.
Right. So what are some popular moral viewpoints on vegetarianism? They don't have to be the ones that you hold particularly, but what viewpoints do you hear?
So the two most common reasons people become vegetarians are, one, they might think that eating meat is something that's inherently wrong, that to cause pain to another living animal or whatever is just wrong. The other is that the environmental effects associated with vegetarianism are the moral reason for being vegetarian.
For sure, I've heard that before as well. So, on your first point, you said that it might be wrong to inflict pain upon another animal,
Yeah.
for example. So let's say, for the sake of argument, completely theoretically, there was an animal born without a nervous system of any kind. No pathway, no brain, nothing like that. Would it be moral to eat that animal?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think it might be okay. I guess it depends on how you define pain and pleasure, though. Like, for instance,
That's what complicates things.
Let's say, just for the sake of argument, go with the most extreme example. Let's have a human who doesn't feel pain at all. They still have a complex mental life going on.
Absolutely.
So you could still argue that to end its life would be a decision that's not yours to make.
Now, when you consider pain in this case, do you mean purely physical, or can it be pain be mental as well?
I think
Discomfort or suffering.
And, a cow might have a more complex mental life than an insect, for instance, but there is some kind of mental life arguably going on.
Right.
In both cases.
So, what arguments do you tend to hear for or against vegetarianism, or those viewpoints that you mentioned prior?
So the most basic one, that eating meat is in and of itself wrong, is that, killing something is something that's prima facie immoral to do.
Right. So let's try to make up an argument for this case. Let's say I told you, that's completely wrong. Our ancestors have been eating meat for millions of years. Animals themselves eat meat. It's just a matter of, it's just the way life goes. What kind of counterpoint do you have to that?
Well, that is both the most common argument against vegetarianism that I hear, and I think also the most easily refutable.
Nice.
And given that this is a philosophy class, I guess the fallacy is the naturalistic fallacy.
Right.
Honestly, I don't see why what anyone or anything else does has any value for deciding whether or not I should personally do it.
So you're going at a kind of a stewardship point of view, where you feel that we being humans, we have superior mental capabilities, so it's our job essentially to do what we can to maybe protect nature, to be as least cruel as possible.
I think that's definitely a way to look at it, but for me specifically, the most fundamental reason I'm a vegetarian is a very personal one, and it's that if I had to go kill an animal and eat it, I would feel bad. Just straightforwardly, if I killed an animal, I would feel like shit afterwards.
So you don't think you should pin that onto other people for your own gain?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I feel like, if I'm letting somebody else kill the animal and then eating it myself, I'm merely hiding, the thing that I wouldn't want to do for myself. And I think that there are probably a lot of people who eat meat that would feel bad if they ate animals, and they just choose not to think about it.
Right. It's a lot easier when you have to see the process.
Yeah.
So can you think of any good general principle to kind of apply to your point of view? Like, if given a general situation, you should always do one thing or another thing?
I guess it's pretty much what I just said. The general principle is that I, in general, am not going to do things that make me feel bad, or do things that if I were to think about all of the externalities involved, that those things would make me feel bad. And eating meat is one of those things.
Nice.
There are plenty of other reasons to be a vegetarian, I think, but that's the most fundamental one for me.
Other reasons, ethically or like health-wise and stuff like that?
Both. The other ethical dimension of it is the environmental one. So I'm sure most people would agree that having an environment to live in is an important thing, and the
Most people,
factory farming factory farming industry is one of the most unenvironmentally friendly industries there is, and if people were to continue eating meat at the rate at which Americans eat meat across the world, then our world would be destroyed pretty quickly.
It's unsustainable. Yeah, I think that's actually the most compelling point as well. That's pretty interesting. So, before we finish off, do you have any closing points you want to make? Anything you want to say to the world?
I guess as far as ethics goes, vegetarianism or anything else, just think about, what has to happen for you to do the things that you do, and are those things acceptable to you or are they not? And if it's not acceptable to you, and this is a very Humean position, I have a moral sentiment that eating meat is bad, and thus I try to use reason to figure out the best way to act in accordance with that sentiment. And that's what I did in this case, and that's what I urge everyone to do.
How long have you been a vegetarian? This is not even
Let's
related.
see. How old am I? Almost 28. 15 or 16 years.
Dude, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, good. So we got ourselves a very moral guy here, right? Round of applause for Alex Ward. Good talk.
Thanks for interviewing me.
Thanks for your time, Alex.
Yeah, no problem.
If young Metro don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot you. Beautiful morning, yeah, the sun.